Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Jack, the muscle and mobility maker with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, I'm gonna be showing you how to fix that AC joint pain that you're getting in a couple steps here. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. And it doesn't get better than that. So take advantage of it. Ready? Let's go ahead and dive into this one. All right, like I said, today we're gonna be showing you how to resolve that AC joint pain that you've been getting right up here at the top of your shoulder. Now, important to understand that it's not toward the front. That's usually more like a bicep tendonitis. So if that's what you're feeling, that's not your AC joint. AC joint, feel your clavicle, walk it all the way out to that point where it meets your scapula, and that is where we're talking about it. And normally it's going to be in a lot of like overhead movements, or when there's loading on the shoulder, if there's some tenderness there at that AC joint. Those can be situations where you might feel it at the top of the shoulder more so, where that clavicle and scapula meet and make that junction. So it's very important to make that distinction first of all. And what we're going to be looking at for the AC joint, because a lot of times the pain that we're feeling there is often related to poor mechanics and positioning overall. So what we're going to be looking at is actually restoring your shoulder positioning and the overall mechanics and getting restabilized in a good position so that you can move more functionally once again at that shoulder. That's the main brunt of it. So it's a simple concept, a few exercises we're going to do here to help you restore that, and you'll be good to go afterwards. Ready? Let's go ahead and look at them. All right, first of all, we're gonna need a bench and a dowel. Here I'm using my barbell, which is a more advanced version because you get some load, but a dowel works really nicely to start. What I wanna do is place my elbows narrow to my wrists on the bench, and I'm actually gonna drive them down into the bench, flexing and rounding my spine first. Here we're working thoracic extension, a little bit of scapular retraction and depression, and then we're also opening up that shoulder in flexion as full as possible with external rotation as our bias. So keep a firm grip on that dowel or whatever you're using and reach for the shoulder blades overhead as you pull your chest through toward the floor. This will help restore the overhead positioning and movement of all those pieces together, your thoracic spine, your scapula, and that glenohumeral joint. Next, it's very common that our shoulder gets stuck in an anterior position in the capsule. So here we're using a band to actually address that. What you want to do is place it at the front of the shoulder and internally rotate your arm behind your low back. Now we're going to start with a few rolls and activate the pecs and those tissues that are on the anterior part of the shoulder, and then we want to release and actually let the band pull us open. So contracting prior to relaxing is a great way to open up any tense and tight areas and create a lot of movement. So here we just want to see how much we could get that band to open up that shoulder. You can flex into it for about 5 to 10 seconds, followed by that relaxing, and then let it open up, or try shoulder rolls, a few different movements, see what works best. You can even play with your head and neck here, because again, we have to remember the clavicle is part of this AC joint, so all those tissues that connect in from our neck could be affecting how that clavicle is moving. Next, we're going to move that band down to the wrist and hand, so it's on the back of the wrist in between the index and middle finger. And we want to pull ourselves in an overhead position here. So we're working on restoring that overhead positioning. Really, the scapular stability is a big one on this. So you want to actually shrug that shoulder up into your ear, and then we're going to take that scapula and retract it back down. Now my goal is to keep the arm as long as possible and minimize or keep the movement to my scapula. I do want my palm up toward the ceiling. This keeps my shoulder in external rotation, which is going to help keep stability at the shoulder itself. So I'm keeping that arm externally rotated, elbow down toward the floor, and trying to keep it as long as possible in this position as I pull the shoulder blade down and then allow it to be pulled back up by the band. We're going between those two positions and playing with the movement that we have at the scapula itself and the stability there. All right, and last one with the band here, we've got the elbow in, the palm is on the band so that it's helping keep it in place, and then I'm turning away from it so it's pulling my arm directly up to the ceiling. Now I want to really focus on pulling my shoulder blade down, keeping that down and back as I allow the elbow to be pulled up to the ceiling here. Oftentimes our triceps and lats can pull our shoulder into a poor position, which causes us to lose external rotation, inflection overhead, and causes issues like AC joint pain. So here we're working on restoring that positioning and allowing this to settle in. All right, next we're going to address some important tissues here. The anterior shoulder to start, and then we're going to hit the posterior a little bit as well. So first of all, the pec. We want to hit the pec just below that clavicle. So we're tracing a line, never touching the clavicle itself, but being right up near it as we work along that line of the clavicle from the sternum out toward the AC joint. So we're trying to free up any tender points and restrictions in the soft tissues here with this softball. The arm is internally rotated on my low back. I'm trying to allow the ball to sink into those tissues as much as I'm able to. If there's any tender points to the ball itself that are a little bit gnarly and nasty, what you want to do is flex on those points, actually activate those tissues, and then on the relax, you're going to let that ball sink in a little bit deeper. Here I'm moving outward toward the deltoids a little bit more. I'm going to catch the bicep tendon in this position as well. So those are a few tissues that are also getting addressed in this position. And then finally, I'm going to take it into the lats and posterior shoulders. So I'll catch some teres and the lats, the rear delt a little bit here. But I want to extend that arm overhead in the externally rotated position again. This will also get that tricep tendon that inserts at the posterior shoulder. All right, now that we opened up new range of motion and better positioning overall, we want to stabilize this new position. So here I'm using a loop band around my wrist. This is a pull-up band. I made it into a loop band. I would recommend a mini loop band if you have one. I do not. So I created it here. We're gonna go tight butt, flexing the whole time, quads are engaged, shoulder blades rolled down and back, abs engaged, and I want to take that band with my palms up to the floor and then back overhead, and I'm reaching the thumbs and palms toward the floor overhead as well. So again, we're working external rotation through that full range of flexion because that's what's going to create the most stability, and a lot of times the mechanics are what are causing your AC joint pain. Next, we're going to do a little bit of stabilizing with a bottoms up kettlebell hold here. So you can assist yourself into the position to get the kettlebell in that bottoms up position. Make sure you have a nice firm grip. You do want your hand close to the inside of a horn, which is the turning part of the handle. And we're not over that turn, but we are up close to it as we hold. Settle your elbow to your ribs, get a nice vertical alignment of the wrist over the elbow through the bottom of the kettlebell, and keep the shoulder blades down and back. Abs engaged, glutes engaged, nice firm stance, and you're just holding this position, stabilizing. A firm grip on the kettlebell also activates the rotator cuff to help stabilize the shoulder better. And after the holds, we can actually turn those into bottoms up presses. Here I want to make sure the path of my elbow stays pointed forward as much as possible as I'm pressing. So I don't want to see that elbow turn outward. I want to try and keep a very straight line on the front side of my body and always return back to that kettlebell hold position. So I'm almost pulling the elbow down tight to my body rather than just letting gravity drop the bell and the arm down back in. So actively pull on the way back down, press away, keeping a nice alignment, and again, nice stable core, so glutes, quads, abs, and upper back are all engaged as we're pressing here. All right, and there you have it. A few simple steps to help you address that AC joint pain that you've been having. Address the joint, address the soft tissues, and restabilize with better mechanics overall. And you'll be good to go. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share this one with a friend. If you know they struggle with a similar pain, then pass it along, share the love with them. If you're somebody who's been struggling with your shoulder pain for some time now, or maybe it's multiple shoulder pains and they just kind of are on a circulating cycle of 90 days, and you're finally fed up with it, what I want you to do right now is drop down below in the description to fill out a coaching application and schedule your Mobility Blueprint call. Mobility Blueprint call is an opportunity for us to get on a Zoom call together so that I can assess your current mobility limitations and your needs overall, and gather all the information I would need to tailor a program specifically to you. So once I have all that, I can lay out in detail what your program would look like, how I would be programming it for you, how I would be coaching you through it, all those details so that you can gather all the information you need as well to make a decision on whether or not you want to move forward with that plan. So if that sounds good, drop down below in that description, fill out that coaching application, get that call scheduled, and let's start moving in the right direction. Last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine, and it doesn't get better than that. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. We'll see you next week.